We shouldn't get bullied. We shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be whatever nationality they want to be. They can't. A white person is a British person and a black person is a fucking foreigner. That's just common sense. Is that common sense though? Or is that just fucking ridiculous? This metaphorical person in a blue shirt, who is not me, let's call him instead Richard, or Ricky for short. He's clearly done absolutely no research, is disassociated with wider culture, and has probably just seen some sensationalist headline about how immigrants are stealing our jobs, written by a newspaper that just wants to create moral panic to sell more copies. Ricky here would probably be adamant that Rishi Sunak is a fucking immigrant. He wasn't born in this country. Of course, doing research shows that Rishi Sunak was born in the distant civilization of Southampton. Well, his parents are probably immigrants who only moved here just so they could give birth to him in this country and make him a British citizen. I mean, partially true. His parents did emigrate. However, they did so a decade and a half before Rishi was born, and in fact, they met while in the UK, not beforehand. Birthplaces don't matter. Boris Johnson was born in the USA, but we still all regard him as a British twat. The vast majority of hard-working people agree. Black people are stealing jobs of white British people, and Rishi Sunak is black. It's just common sense. The only white British person he stole a job from is Liz Truss, and honestly, who really cares about that? People with a different skin colour just existing have no negative effect on the economy or on politics or on your life. It's just hating someone for something they can't change, something that is a part of them, something they are born with, even if it isn't physically noticeable from birth. What kind of person must someone be to just hate a group for absolutely no real logical reason other than they just don't like them? If it's not obvious yet, the answer to that question is the UK Prime Minister.
And we shouldn't get bullied. And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
This blatant show of transphobia is taken during Rishi Sunak's first Tory conference, which was on the 4th of October 2023. All the stuff Ricky said earlier on race, the being bullied, the common sense, the hard-working people who agree, are all quotes Rishi used about trans people. You see, I'm using sarcasm and irony because these views are fucking hilarious. Well, they are until you remember that this week, he is the most powerful person in the country, and the general cheers of the Tory audience, the majority of people in the UK, kind of show a lot of agreement. So, why hate on trans people? Especially in the same speech where Sunak reiterates that it was the Tories who
Legislated for same-sex marriage.
That is an LGBTQ plus problem that was made really prevalent back in the 1980s and has a lot of comparative issues to how trans people are being compared now. Well, here are Rishi's points.
And it also shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught in school about relationships.
Well, that's already not about trans people, is it now? That's about gay people. But I guess the whole supporting same-sex marriage is a bit of a cover-up too.
Patience should know when hospitals are talking about men or women.
If I'm a patient in hospital with a broken leg, and I overhear a doctor saying, I need to go and check if the man in the next ward with a broken arm is okay, my first thought isn't going to be, he better have a penis. Of course, what trans folks forget in this situation is biology is very much the same for both sexes. A fucking arm is a fucking arm. Nothing down there matters if you're trying to fix a fucking humerus. And when you do need to refer to the very specific parts that are different between the sexes, you realise they have names, don't you? Doctors aren't prudely writing down, ooh, the lady garden. They call a fucking vagina. It doesn't matter what the person identifies as who has the vagina, but a gynecologist knows that if a record says a man's coming in for a smear test, they know what they're going to be dealing with. It's going to be a vagina. It's going to be a vagina. It doesn't matter if they go away he or she or they. It's a fucking vagina. It's just a fucking word for a part of fucking biology. If a trans man is giving birth, the doctors don't have to write down, oh, the penis has dilated 5 centimetres. You just use the word vagina! Because biology is just words for things that you have. That you fucking have. But at no point do you need to say, oh, it's a woman giving birth, when you can say a man giving birth, because that's what they prefer to be called. If a doctor's studied medicine for 7 fucking years, or just anyone with common sense and common decency, you won't get fucking confused, will you? You know when the fucking baby comes out, it doesn't matter anything about fucking identity. But no, what if the doctors and patients get confused? If they get fucking confused, revoke their fucking doctor's licence. Sex and gender are different. Yes, trans folks who are acting like they're very much the same thing, and that's very much an issue. Anyway, that's it. That is all of Rishi's points. Wow, so convincing. 2 sentences and I'm decided that I must now not be trans. The only valid way that trans people would affect politics, and not just through general bigotry, would be the economy for trans healthcare through the NHS. But I mean, that's already quite a hard process for trans people, with many reported being discriminated against or refused service, and hormones and surgery being a very long and difficult process to get approved for, so many just pay for private healthcare anyway. Okay, but some trans people do use the NHS for trans healthcare. That means they're using our taxes! Firstly, universal free healthcare means for everybody, and as a country we agree that the small amount of money paid through taxes is better than the alternatives of inflated prices in the thousands for things you literally need to live. And secondly, if we're going to point fingers at a group of people who change their minds about themselves, have ruined the NHS funding, and begin with the letter T, those people are called Tories. Listen, regardless of the same bigotry in other parties, and people who support other parties, and regardless of the positives the Conservatives have managed to achieve, the point of this is that our leader is using virtue signalling to try and bolster his own credibility in his party and his country. But the way he's trying to show his social conscience and moral correctness is by attacking a minority only on the pretense of starting moral panic over the whole woke thing. Seriously, what else did Rishi talk about during that speech? It doesn't matter what else he says, because nobody cares unless it's over-the-top sensationalism dividing people onto either hating him for being bigoted or thinking he's great for going against cancel culture. And this isn't the first time he's gone against trans people either. There's an interview with him with Piers Morgan. Do I need to say anything else? Actually, I will say something else, because that interview with Piers Morgan was not as extreme. He was very much more accepting of trans people and very much more, oh, this might be an issue, in a more flat, streamlined way, rather than just outright screaming, a man's a man, a woman's a woman. So he's definitely become more extreme. And you have to ask yourself, is that because his views have gone to more of an extreme? Or is it because he knows that the majority of people that support him already have that extreme of a view? Well, how are you meant to actually know that? If politics is just about creating hate, and let's face the facts here, Rishi Sunak's doing this to detract from the fact that many of his voters might not vote for him purely because they're racist and he's black. That will be their main reason for not voting for Conservatives, just to make sure he doesn't say Prime Minister. And given that that is a very likely case, and nothing else matters in politics apart from dividing factions onto bigotry, then, well, politics has really gone to shit, hasn't it? Well, maybe the past just has a habit of repeating itself. I may just be an amateur comedian who doesn't even study politics, but at least I'm better than Rishi in a few aspects. Firstly, I actually did some research before writing the script. And secondly, I know that this barely scratches the surface of the whole entire debate. You can't sum up something this complicated in just a few sentences designed to create cheers or laughs. And you can't expect to change people's views either just by saying the thing. At the end of the day, regardless of what you say, the only person who's being represented by you is you.